Hey, this is Amy from Motif Music Studios, and you might be just dropping in on this live stream because you're like, what's this about? Practice in progress, and is piano practice like painting? So basically, I've been live streaming a fun piece for me, Rebuttal by Jeff Millis, and I've been taking you along for the journey and letting you see what it's like to be a musician who's practicing and learning new things. So I was thinking today that piano practice is a lot like maybe being a paleontologist, where you're like discovering something that's been written for you and you're kind of digging it out like you would dinosaur bones, except this piece isn't old. It's by a modern contemporary composer. But you basically are taking out parts so that they become a whole. So today I'll be working on some specific sections. I actually made a quick spinner that should work this time with a few focus points. And then I also have two pieces I thought I'd show you from Angeline Bell from her My Seaside notebook. Get in the camera. And one called Blackberry Jam by Alyssa Milne. And I'll show you a little sneak peek of those. I haven't been practicing those ones, but they're ones that I might teach if a student liked this music as well. So today I am actually going to spin the wheel to see what I'm going to practice. And so let's see what's going to be my first practice mission today. And this is something you can do with students or for yourself if you're trying to make it interesting and set a goal. So the funny thing is, every other thing I had today was called a specific measure, and the first task today is just music enjoyment. So I'll show you what I'm working on if you're new to this, and let's see a slow pace so I can warm up. So that is a musical enjoyment. Hey, Alex, nice to have you pop by. Let me know if you are a fellow piano player or if you're just here to see what it's like to practice the piano. I'll warn that there's always lots of practice. It means you're going to have things that you play over and over again. So this is my wheel spinner of things that I need to work on today, and I've put some measures. So this is like, playing the piano practice lottery. And so this one says measures 46 to 48. And so that's what I'm going to practice next. And so measures 46 to 48. I've put in a few goal sections here that I might need a little bit of extra confidence on. And this one goes like this. And I think I actually meant to say 48, 49. So I'm going to bring it from 46 and we'll see what happens. Yep, so you can see it's the same section that's nagging me. Hey, April, thanks for being here today. It's always nice to see people enjoying stopping by, and it really is helping me learn this piece. I've just been learning it for 2 weeks just for fun. It's by a contemporary composer, and I really love the sound of it. So the section I'm working on, I am going to go so slow. And another YouTuber, Ashley, was saying about playing it 10 times perfectly before you know that it's in your fingers, and I sometimes rush by that. So this is what it sounds like slow. just warming up, and it is still not quite there, but it'll warm up. I believe in the process. There we go. If you are in the comments today, you can let me know if you're also working on a piece, or if you're just here for the unveiling of art. So I was thinking of it like an artist, right? That's just working, and you can't really see what it is at first, and it starts to get clearer and clearer as we spend the time. Now, an important part of practice is figuring out the why, like why something is not working. And with this one, I just do this odd little shuffle with my finger. Da-dun, da-da-dun, da-da-dun. And I think I actually slide forward to the front of the key, so it slows me down, and I'm just overthinking this spot. So I'm working on bringing that back to feeling something confident. So let's try just from a different spot. Yeah, there we go. I'll show you just the little ending here so you can see the drama of where it's headed to. It sounds like this. There's a rallentando. So that is the dramatic ending it's heading for. So then I'm going to spin the wheel again and say, okay, what is my next practice section? Each of those I have to go back to again and be like, okay, what am I going to work on this time? So measure 16 and 17. I'll remove that, and you can make a wheel spinner for yourself if you're a practicer, and sometimes it just helps to set a goal before you start. So 16 and 17, I want to call this measure my nemesis. I'm trying to get out of the thought of things being a nemesis because then you're obviously going to avoid it. But here is what it sounds like, and I'm going to go in slow motion. And that's very playable, except for it goes at a fast speed, and my hand is not liking dun, da, 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 da. It just gets sluggish. The other thing I noticed is sometimes you think it's one hand, and it could be the other hand slowing you down. So I was double checking that on this side. 1 and 2 and dun, dun, da, dun, da. And it actually doesn't go all the way down. Dun, da. So we can watch that. And I need to watch that my thumb is supported on that as well. So here we go. And I wanted to go down because there's another section that goes down, but I'm going to work on that section again. Feel free to ask me a music practice question or a question in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer. like that Jeff has this like really quick decrescendo here. So loud and then soft. And then it holds on before it goes into this sweet section. Percussive section. And a nice bold section there at the end. So part of what I'm doing is now working section to section and then trying to stitch it together so it sounds like a whole complete piece. And that's like a whole other aspect of practice. I'll go over that one challenge spot one more time and then let's spin it, see what my next challenge is. Now, one thing to remember if you're a practicer as well, sometimes we think, oh, we got it right, and then we move on. But really, we need to get it right a lot of times to actually make progress on it, or we've actually practiced it maybe even incorrectly more times than correctly. And so that's something to watch for as you're practicing yourself. I also brought a dice today. Let's see if I can show it to the camera. This is a wood dice. And sometimes to add variety, I might even roll a dice number and say, okay, 5. I'm going to see if I can get this 5 times correctly before moving on. So even as a teacher and someone who's played the piano for years and years, I still sometimes use my own tricks to keep me focused and to keep me alert when I'm practicing and trying new things. So let's give that a try. I decide I better land on that because I'm wanting to go to the C. So I think there's a special spot in heaven for people who listen to others practice. And yet I was also challenging myself with that thought because I often feel like anxious about playing something repeatedly too many times. But then when I thought of it like a paleontologist exploring and revealing art, or a painter that starts with just a few brushstrokes and something beautiful, I realized I myself like to see those kind of things that come to life. So this is that opportunity to see something hopefully come to life. Okay, now I will also show you guys something that you might teach if you're teaching Rebuttal Hard Conversations by Jeff Millis, a contemporary composer. This is another piece that might be a nice complement to that one. It's called Funky Crab by Angeline Bell. So this one isn't one I'm practicing right now, but I thought I'd show you some of the elements that make it similar. It has some percussive ideas or rhythmic ideas in it. It also is in C minor, which is kind of fun. It's in a similar key. And yeah, play some Megadeth. I'm not doing requests today, but I'll take a peek at what that is. And I know I should know it probably, but I don't. But thank you for being here. So this is Funky Crab by Angeline Bell. She's from the UK. She's a contemporary composer writing really neat music. This one's with a beat and it sounds like this. And then you have the kind of that groovy sound. So this one is a really cool one as well. You know what? I love the sound of Meatloaf's voice, and it's been years since I've explored just even listening to his music. But I must say that it's a sound that I've been inspired by in the past. So I'll have to work on my request. That's a new one for me, but I love that you're here and listening in. So I'll give that a listen. Do you have a favorite song by Meatloaf that I should be checking out? Because I can definitely do that. Okay, I will take a look at that tonight. I've been looking at some of these requests from this live stream series, so I'll take a look at that this evening. So thank you for that. So this next section is kind of lyrical. And I was noticing I need to have a little bit cleaner on this. It's not always sloppy, but I can lose control of it. But it's fun to hear it coming together for sure. So the other piece I was thinking about that is similar to this one is not the same, but it's a study in syncopation and semitones and would be a good parallel piece for learners learning Rebuttal by Jeff Millis. Is called Blackberry Jam by Alyssa Milne, and it's kind of another neat one that is a good one for students to take a look at. So I'm going to play a little bit of that one here as well and just give you that little bit of variety in today's stream of pieces that would be really complementary. And so I'm just bringing that up on my screen. And it's been a little while since I performed this one, and I have a full recording of it on my channel. But here's the first little bit. I'll see if I can kind of sight read it back into my fingers. Let's try that again. You know what? It's supposed to be 2 octaves apart. There we go. So that one's one by Alyssa Milne that complements this piece by Jeff Millis if you're wanting some more similar ones. So if you're new to the stream, I'm actually practicing Jeff Millis's Rebuttal. I've been practicing it for spring break for my own fun as a piano teacher and as a lifelong learner. So I'm going to spin the wheel again and see what my next practice assignment is going to be. I pre-wrote some ideas for myself, and this is something you can do too as a musician or a practice learner. Okay, so this is measure 52 to 54, dabs of pedal, question mark. And what I was thinking there is that I keep being inclined to add a little touches of pedal. You don't have to do that. It's not marked in, but I was going to explore it with more intention and see if I want it no pedal or some pedal. So that's right in here. I'll do it without pedal first, and then I'll do it with pedal and see which I should go for. And then it does say to start with the pedal there, held down. So I don't think it's meant to have pedal there, and maybe with the speed it won't sound so dry. And it can sound dry. It's supposed to sound more percussive, I think. But I was exploring just add little bits of pedal, so I'll just try what I was thinking. Yeah, so I don't know. The jury's still out on that. It doesn't say to use pedal, so I might stick with the composer marking on there. When I was doing pedal, it was actually just more like percussive dabs of pedal. And so I'll try a few ways of doing that. I'm going to leave it out for now. So I'll put that down where Jeff has marked that. This should go fast at the end. Okay. So that one, I think I've got an idea of what I'm going to do. I am going to spin the wheel again, see what the next one that I wanted was. Okay, just spinning the wheel to see what my next assignment is. And it looks like measure 10 and 11 are up next. And so let's take a look at what 10 and 11 are. So this one's actually coming along quite well. But this has been a spot I've just been wanting to build confidence, so it's the one that goes like this. One thing I noticed was that it's easy to get forearm tension when you think of something as harder. So sometimes I actually have to tell myself to like release the muscles in here and make sure that my forearm is staying loose in those kind of sections where I would tend to add a little bit of tension. Yeah, I think that section is coming together. Some of the ways that I'll be working on speeding it up are still playing it slowly, working to have that forearm rotation, that side-to-side movement of the wrist, and making sure that I'm not tensing up as I approach that section. And then just now working on it as a whole. So let's see, I'm going to try to play right through. and see if I can choose a pace that doesn't leave it sounding sloppy. So I'll probably base my tempo on measure 17. This that's probably about the pace that I'll go. Okay, those are the first 2 pages. So today we looked at a quick peek at Funky Crab by Angeline Bell as a piece that would be a fun complement to this one for learners that wanted something similar and funky. We also took a look at the late elementary, early advancing piece Blackberry Jam by Alyssa Milne, another great exploration. And today feels a bit like paleontologist, like I'm a paleontologist. I'm kind of unearthing these different sections of this very cool song by Jeff Millis, and I'm trying to find the music in it and make it sound musical and under control. So I'm going to leap into the 3rd and 4th pages so that I don't get slack on that. And I've been working on this little section towards the end so I don't get terrified of it. Just kidding. I think I'm in the wrong octave maybe there. So maybe not. There we go. The funny thing is, I went into it like quicker than I expected. It felt easier. So then I didn't even know where I was. When I looked up, I was like, oh, where am I? Okay, that arrived faster. That's probably a good sign. Okay, this section is so fun. Okay. I keep scrambling now. The ending was sounding cleaner, so it's funny that we always like improve on one thing and then something else can go a little sideways. So in order to clean that up, sometimes I'll do smaller groupings. Da, da, da. And I'll just tidy it up that way. So, a lot of what happens now is just the consistency, getting from start to finish, making sure the musicality is still there. I always love to check the composer markings. Jeff's done a really good job of a detailed score, so there's lots of spots mezzo piano, mezzo forte. One thing I did think of with this one, we have lots of repeated notes. Dum, ba-da, dum, ba-dum. And my keyboard is very responsive to that, and I noticed that playing it on a few different pianos was really beneficial because I used different energy at the keys to play it with accuracy, and I might even choose a different tempo. Like when I was getting my ARCT in piano, I practiced on um, some older pianos, but I also had access to a Kawai grand piano that had this beautiful, beautiful tone in the bass, but it felt like playing in quicksand. So to avoid injury, I did play my technique a lot slower and with care on that piano. And once I got to a Yamaha with a lighter action, it did feel a lot easier. But when you have notes that need to be repeated like this, I would pay attention to the fingering that Jeff has written in, and I'd also just feel that your forearm is doing some of the work for you so that you're not getting notes that feel missed, which can happen on some that don't have as responsive of action. Then there's a little eighth rest, just enough time to get to the next page. I would, if I was performing it, I'd either have to memorize it or I'd have to not have a pause there. Right now I have my music digitally, but I don't have the foot pedal for turning pages. I'll start on this page a little bit slower intentionally, but usually I would want to continue through at the same speed. But because I haven't warmed up this page yet, let's take it at a sensible pace. Now that is a little victory there because I kind of slid through it. It wasn't as like clean, but so much better at measure 40 than it was in the last few practices. So that's encouraging. Be sure to let me know if you're also working on something, or let me in the comments. There we go. Okay, let's work on it slower. It's still like a little kerfuffled. I think it's going to show up on the spinner, so maybe I'll also spin the spinner so I get through these little spots I wanted to work on today. And thank you for listening to the process. I hope it's encouraging to you in your own process, which should be less about me and more about you and your experience as well. So measure 24. Let's take a look and see what this gem of a measure was and see if I already did it or if it's there. Now, the encouraging thing is 24, 25 is actually starting to come along. So it didn't have as many big gaps. So this is the spot I was thinking of. Um, um, So I'll start, because there's a tie note at 24. Well, let's see if I can, if I hold it first, then I can start on that. Yeah, it's such a beautiful section. In the midst of this really edgy piece, the sun comes out and we have this sweeter side of conversation. Now this, at measure 27, the other measure that's similar has a 1 and a ba, 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 and it's kind of more syncopated, and this one just has like normal quarter notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And so it's funny how I want to do the syncopated there, so I was just thinking 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, and really I should be like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, but it gets me all kerfuffled just the way my brain works. So I was kind of thinking more like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, and then having it come off. So that's a little trick I sometimes use as if I'm kerfuffled. So that is lots and lots of fun, and it's been fun to see people dropping in throughout the stream. If you're here on the replay, I'm really glad you're here too, and just sending some piano practice encouragement out into your world as well. So I think that measure 24 has come a long way. I'm going to play it one time through at a more, like maybe at the faster pace of bum ba da dum bum ba. So if I was going yeah, so that is coming, and in order to keep it clean, I can feel that little bit of sloppiness in the right hand that's not as dexterous, so I would rotate between slow practice and speedier practice, and trying maybe a few different speeds each time I play it. Yeah, so that is starting to feel a little bit more under control, a little more cohesive. And you don't really know when you start a piece like, how many hours is it going to take me? So I think I'm kind of on track for what I expected. And I'll maybe try to add up my hours. I didn't keep track of each hour that I did because I did sneak in and do like little micro practices here and there in between live streams. But if I count up the live streams chatting at the same time, I imagine if I was like purely focusing on it, I don't know. Give a guess. How many hours do you think this took to learn and play? And we can't really compare that to someone else's journey. Someone else might have like learned one measure at a time, perfected it, and then moved to the next measure, perfected it. I chose to do different sections and then kind of weave it together at the end. My brain tends to work best like that, but perhaps I'll try a different approach next time. So I'd love to know, if you're listening in, how you approach practice and if you approach it with different sections at once. I know when I was learning like a big sonata or something, I just couldn't risk only practicing one section until it was polished, because there was so many measures that I would try to pick from each section and then bring the sections up at the same time. And same when you're working on multiple pieces, you can't necessarily afford all your time, your like practice budget on one section. So that's why I tend to do multiple sections. But I'd be interested in what you're doing with your practices as well. And I know always learning, and I think we all as different learners succeed differently with different styles and in different seasons too. Okay, so I have been doing this spinner. Let's see what we're going to add at measure 57. Add pizzazz. So that was my second to last goal here. And I think what I was noticing is when I listened to Jeff's recording one more time, he has this and it has an accent on the high D each time. So triple it and kind of like using the forearm to kind of sway into that and give an accent. So that was the pizzazz I was meaning. So that's something I'll work on in slow motion this week. And you don't have to be here for that whole process. And this is the final measure. My goal measure was this 33 and 34 here. And so that is the final measure that I will do today. So 33 and 34. Let's see what that is. 33. Oh, yeah. So this is just that transition from no, this one just has da 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 dun, and then. So I think I'll just memorize that da 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 dun. Interesting. This is something I should probably work on, because I keep coming from an A flat and accidentally going to an E flat, and I really want to go. So I've got to make sure that my confidence of like going to D flat is there. So that was my final practice section. So I'm going to go from 34. I'm going to go much slower, and we're going to aim for accuracy. Hopefully still make it sound beautiful. Yeah. You know what? I think I'm pausing too long on that. Just a sec. Yeah, so we can, when we slow things down, we are in danger of doing things a little bit different. And I noticed that the other day. Da, dun, da, 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 da. That's better. But it also might be why I was tripping over that section, because sometimes if something doesn't feel rhythmic, like inside of you, you're like, something is kind of off, and I'm fairly intuitive rhythmic player. So if something just doesn't feel on, it's gonna trip me up, but I might not assess it and go, oh yeah, that's what's going on. So much better than before if you've been listening in, and still it's amazing. Like, you feel like you should just be able to zoom through these. I could kind of like read through it really slow even to start the last couple weeks ago, but it's amazing how much time it takes to just like have it polished and sounding awesome. So it's a fabulous piece. It's so much fun to play. So now I'm going to see if I can do page 3 and 4 straight through, nice and slow. I did it. So when the seas betray you at the end, right? You get too confident. Not that overconfidence isn't usually my problem. Um, so this one, that felt nice to have a few sections is edging into feeling more polished, and I am just sitting here discovering if I'm like a paleontologist maybe that is exploring these deep down dinosaur bones in the pieces and revealing something really special in music, or an artist. So it's lots of fun to explore. So that is Jeff Millis's rebuttal from Hard Conversations number 3. And I hear there's a Hard Conversation number 1 and 2. So I'm curious to see what those other hard conversations are like. And this one has been a huge delight to just give myself a fun filled spring break challenge. I've been practicing this one for 2 weeks and just live streaming the process. So I'm honored to have many of you popping by throughout the past couple weeks to see what's going on and what is happening and what it sounds like to be working on piano repertoire live when you're a lifelong learner. And even as a music teacher, 28 years, and a piano player for many years, it's amazing how much there's still left to learn. So I hope that brings some encouragement and art into your home today. And thanks for listening in.